You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hey guys, welcome in to the Outspoken Sportscast. I'm your host, Brian. We got your other host, Jeff, on the line as well. We're ready to talk some football. This is episode number 63, guys. We're all excited to get into the football season. So this week's Spotlight of the Week will be about the top defenses in the league. This is an article written on NFL.com from Adam Sheen, and he goes through his top 9 defenses going into this season, not from last year, but what he expects to be the top 9 going into the season. Jeff, I know I'm excited for the football season. I know you're excited for the football season.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely, especially defensive side. I mean, I'm a big, I like shutdown defenses for sure. So yeah. This is a great topic.
I know. Sure. Once we, decided kind of what topic we wanted to go with, and I suggested this one, you jumped all on it, and you're more defense and I'm more offense. So next week we plan on doing the same thing, but on the offensive side as well. So feel free to tune into that. So, but Adam Sheen's list, his number one team, and it may surprise you, it may not. His number one team is the Los Angeles Rams. His big reason was obviously, Aaron Darnold, which Aaron Darnold is, if not the best defensive lineman in the league, one of the best who can totally wreck a defense and get to your quarterback. But it's not a one-man wrecking crew, Jeff. They also got Jalen Ramsey, who is a top cornerback in the league, number 1 or number 2, depending on where you want to put him. He's definitely top 3. They added Darius Williams, who just posted the 9th best corner rating of in the NFL through Pro Football Focus, and they have a good safety in Jordan Fuller, who they actually picked up in the 6th round last season. And just his second season, Jeff, he's going to be wearing the green sticker, calling the defense on the Rams. So that turned out to be a really good pick for them in the 6th round to help out this defense this season.
Am I a little confused? Wasn't Jalen Ramsey part of the Cowboys defense?
No.
Or,
no, Jalen Ramsey's.
Okay. I don't know why.
No, he's always been in with the Rams.
Okay.
He's one of the highest paid. He's one of the best in the league. I think he's number 2, but I'm a little biased to my guy Jair Alexander in Green Bay. But they're both top 3 cornerbacks in the league and really, really good at what they do.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to clear that up. I wasn't sure. I've heard that name a number of times, and then I swear I heard somebody a Jalen something on the Cowboys, but I wasn't sure. So
and he's not good, but
okay. No, I agree. I agree with this. I mean, the Rams. You could kind of, piggy bank off of 1 and 2 on this one.
Right.
We haven't gone into 2, but yeah, you could flip both. I agree,
easily. And I would have Tampa Bay at number 1, just coming off last season. But with the trends that go on in the NFL, the defense tends to digress a little bit each year. So it's not always going to be, you're not always going to get, so many turnovers, so many interceptions, so many sacks, and it kind of fluctuates a little bit. But speaking of Tampa, that is his number 2 team. Tampa, they just won the Super Bowl. They're fully loaded on the front with Vita V, Adama Sue, and William Golston. They're brick walls. They shut down the running backs. There was a I believe it was a stat they didn't allow a 100-yard rusher for like 12 straight games. Tampa Bay is bringing back everybody. They just won a Super Bowl specifically because of their defense was so good. They're bringing back their sack specialist in Shaq Barrett. They got Jason Pierre-Paul on the outside to get to the quarterback. And I didn't even mention the two of the best linebackers in the league, Devin White and Derek White. So this team is loaded on defense again. And I this team, Tampa Bay, will go far this season because of said defense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because, it kind of carried them into the playoffs, and I definitely think it carried them to a championship. So one would say Tom Brady took them there. I personally would say the defense took them there. I think you agree with that as well. When it comes to, the one person I definitely know on this team for sure, I mean, in terms of he's a former player of the Broncos, would be Shaq Barrett. I was a lot of people in Denver were frustrated when we didn't retain him. I don't know if that was a snafu on the front office or what, but I could tell you right now, if it was Vic Fangio controlling the team at the time, or in terms of the defense at the time, Shaq Barrett would have never left the facility. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, I'm glad he won a Super Bowl. He's a great player, fan favorite for sure. And so, he got paid and I mean, honestly, that's the best I could think for him is just get paid. And I want to say he's maybe a 2-time champ. I think he was part of the Super Bowl 50 squad. I'm not quite sure yet. I want to say he was, but I'd have to look that up, but I'm not sure. But other than that, I mean, I agree with 1 and 2, and they could flip. In my opinion, one could be Tampa Bay could be 1, Rams could be 2, vice versa.
Right. And then going back to the Rams, you add that with a better upgrade in quarterback with Matthew Stafford and that offense. They're going to be a scary team this season.
I think so.
Number 3 is interesting. Last year, the number 3 team he has here, they were the top 6 defense. So it's the Indianapolis Colts, and they're surprisingly really good talent wise. They have, even on the offensive side, they have one of the best offensive linemen in the league. They have a really good offensive line. They got a great running back. They got some decent wide receivers. T.Y. Hilton's still there, and it's just like, okay, this team has got something, but their defense is just as good. They just signed Darius Leonard. They made him the highest paid linebacker in the league, and he deserves every bit of it. This guy's been great and fantastic ever since being drafted. He's the only player with 400 tackles and over 15 sacks in the last 3 seasons. They added DeForest Buckner last year from the San Francisco 49ers. He had 9.5 sacks last season. She continues to thrive there. They drafted a young athletic freak up front, Kwity Payne, who should have a good rookie season this year. And then last year they signed Xavier Rhodes, and he was playing with Minnesota, and he had a couple off years, but last year he kind of had a bounce back year, so they're hoping he can continue that and help out this defense. So number 3 is the Indianapolis Colts, and in this article he also put that he could see the Colts having the best defense in the league this year.
I mean, it's anything's possible. I'm not going to sit there and say, no, that's never going to happen or that's not going to happen. But my only problem with that entire analogy is that, I mean, if Indianapolis Colts end up becoming the number 1 defense in the league, what a waste. That's kind of what comes to mind, mainly because a great defense followed by a team that may not be able to score, or may have a hard time scoring, or, vice versa. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with this offense. That's something obviously we can tackle next week. But I hope that maybe this defense can then push this team to another level, but you got to have solid and consistent play a little bit, if not average play on offense. And if they can get that, then the Colts are definitely a team to a sleeper team, seem to be to not look over for sure.
Right. They're definitely that underdog team. And I thought adding Carson Wentz, we talked about it quite a bit already, that this was his second chance. So now he's out 5 to 12 weeks. Their Quentin Nelson's their lineman who's the best at his position in the NFL, just about. And he has the same injury. He could miss the same time, 5 to 12 weeks. It really depends. So we don't know how long he's going to be out. If Carson Wentz could come back after only 5 weeks, they could still be in the hunt for probably a playoff spot. We'll see what happens. But that's really what's frustrating with this team, is that they're talented, but they're missing that quarterback's position. And they thought they had the guy. I don't know if they're going to go out and trade for. The rumor was Nick Foles. He's a third-string quarterback for the Chicago Bears. He has some potential to come in and play average. I don't think he's any good, but they drafted Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger out of Texas last year, but he's not going to start. I don't believe he's not NFL ready yet, and he wasn't all that great in college. But I don't know what they're going to do in Indy, but I would think they would have to go out and do something. Heck, I would love to see them go out and trade for Deshaun Watson, all right? But I don't think anybody's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I mean, it's just, that's why I say, I mean, I look at it, I'm just like, what a waste, and you built a great defense, but maybe at the wrong time.
Yeah. You know what's sad, and I feel bad for the Colts fans. They had a quarterback in Andrew Luck, and he walked away.
Yeah.
And if they had Andrew Luck on this team, my goodness, this would be an insane fun roster to watch. So
for sure.
Number 4, Jeff, he has the Baltimore Ravens. Some would probably have them a little higher, maybe a little lower. I think 4 is a good spot for them. They're rock solid core up front with Calais Campbell and Brandon Williams, and they brought in Derek Wolfe from your Denver Broncos, who's they're really good at stopping the run. Patrick Queen, who they drafted last season, he's been a stud ever since they drafted him from out of Clemson. He's one that the Packers should have taken in the first round, but that's a different story. Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters help out with a solid defensive backfield. This team has been defensive driven for a long time, and the Ravens have. They've had Ed.
Always.
They had Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and you give them somewhat of an offense, and they should be good. And you got Lamar Jackson on their side, and they're always going to be a good team. I don't like Lamar Jackson too much. I don't think they'll ever win with him, but they're always going to be competitive. They're always going to be in the playoff and see what they can do from there. But this defense looks pretty good this year as well.
I mean, if you get semi decent play offensively and have an amazing defense, you're going to go somewhere. Like that's the thing is, I mean, you don't. The thing is that we saw that with Tampa Bay. I mean, they didn't have stellar. It wasn't like that offense was lighting it up all year. It's not like he was, they were breaking offensive records and going insane. But I mean, if you have average to slightly above average play on offense and a defense that can shut anybody down.
Oh yeah,
I mean, come on now. I mean, you can go far.
No, you definitely can. I just don't see Lamar being able to get past. I don't think Lamar. Here's a bold prediction for you, Jeff. Lamar Jackson is never going to make a Super Bowl. That's my bold prediction. I don't think it's going to ever happen.
It would take a lot of luck, and sometimes that happens in the playoffs. Sometimes that happens in any sport.
Joe Flacco,
if you get luck on your side. Right. But backed up by an amazing defense. So, and Ray Lewis, or even towards the tail end, Ray Lewis, he was still good. He was still insane. Even towards the end of his career. So, I mean, backed by a amazing defense. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. It again, with Baltimore trying to do something and go to a Super Bowl or whatever, it definitely would require some luck, some catching teams off guard, some teams not performing as well as they maybe should have or whatever. So yeah, for sure. But yeah, I agree with 4. I think 4 is a pretty decent. I mean, yeah, I agree with 4. I would say move it to 3 or so, but if 4 it's fine. I think that's fine there.
Number 5, Jeff. Number 5 is the Cleveland Browns. Well, here, obviously, you got the dangerous Myles Garrett, and there's not much more I need to really say about him. He's a beast to get your quarterback and do everything that he does. They added Clowney up front, who I'm not a big fan of. He's all hype. He's never had a 10-sack season, but he should produce a little more with Garrett on the other side. And then they added cornerback Greg Newsome, and they also added linebacker Jeremiah. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. It's I guess I'll try. It's Owusa Koromoa. I can't even say.
Orusa Komora,
yeah,
maybe. Who
will be day one starters and impacts they just got from the draft. So they added on to this defense. This team has been the last couple of years has been overhyped. Oh, they got Odell Beckham, and they got this, and they got that, and then they tend to fall short. This head coach comes in last year and really quiets the noise, and it's just about football. They looked really good last year. Continuing to add on to that, I hope they can, and I hope that Baker Mayfield can give them another playoff push. And this team is a really good defense and a pretty daggum good offense with Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, and Landry, and they've got some playmakers. And they've got some guys that they could stay healthy to be competitive. I think number 5 is probably right where I would put them, number 5 or number 4. They are extremely good, and they're going to get to your quarterback pretty often.
Yeah, this is another one of those teams where it's kind of like all you need is just some consistency on offense, and this team is going to be very dangerous. It's going to be very hard to take down. It's time for Cleveland to get some respect, man. I mean, this team's been dog trash the joke of the NFL for so long. And now, since they've had some relevancy, obviously when they got Baker Mayfield, when they've started, building up this defense and obviously adding weapons on offense, it's time to show the NFL that the Cleveland Browns are a team to be reckoned with. And I think it would be fun to see that. I've always wanted to see this team go to a Super Bowl or do something because they've just been the brunt of jokes for so long. So I hope, my hope this year is that the Browns do something and just scare the heck out of everyone, man. I wish they would do that because it would just be fun to watch. It would just be fun to see that.
Oh, definitely. And I think they're a team that people might sleep on, and then it might surprise a couple people. I think they could get a wild card. Heck, they could win their division, but it's going to take some tough, gritty football, and I think that's the kind of team they are. This next team, Jeff, and I think he lowballed them here. He has the Washington football team at number 6, and I think they deserve to be in the top 3 defenses. I think they're that good. Chase Young was an absolute beast last season, defensive rookie of the year. He had 7.5 sacks his first year in the NFL. This front line is not only has Chase Young they just drafted, but they also have Sweat, as they added him a couple years ago. They're going to get to your quarterback fast and often. They're going to block up their lanes. They're going to stop your running back. They're going to force you to make bad passes. This team came close to beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs because their defense. This defense is for real, and they are going to be the willpower of this team's success or failure is going to rely on them. This team could single-handedly, Jeff, win them their division if the Cowboys don't pull it together, if Dak Prescott continues to be injured and not start or whatever. But this defense is for real. I think they're a top 3 defense in the NFL.
Completely agree. I don't agree with the spot. I definitely think they should either be up. Matter of fact, I would even push them I would push the Colts down a bit and squeeze this team in there. This team is I'm telling you right now, and I'm still going with my prediction. I do think that the Washington football team is going to probably and I slightly, and I mean slightly, by a game, or just the fact that they may have taken the Cowboys out twice, that they faced them. So obviously by the tiebreaker, but edge out the Dallas Cowboys to take that division. This defense can shut teams down. And one thing we know about the Dallas Cowboys is they typically rely on the offense. And if Dak is going to be limited a little bit to start the season out, and they're going to rely on that run, I really don't think they're going to run against this team very much.
Not will if they do so.
No.
It's good. So
yeah. So I mean, in terms of my opinion, I agree with the Washington football team Giants, especially in the top 10 or in the top 9 for this matter. But I would definitely think they should be squeezed into the top 5 for sure. This is not a defense you want to be facing, and the Cowboys have to face them twice.
Right. Hey, Green Bay's going to face them this season as well.
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to it. Protect Aaron Rodgers, get a win and get out of there. But yeah, this team is going to be interesting to watch this year. And I think if Ryan Fitzpatrick can be consistent, that's the problem with him. He's so inconsistent at having good games and really bad games. That can be detrimental to the team. But if he can be consistent, this team has a good chance to win this division. I picked the Cowboys last week to win the division. If you guys don't know, last week we gave our predictions on who was going to take the division and who was going to take the wild card spot. So if you want to go listen to that, feel free to do so. But yeah, I mean, the only other team in that division that could win it would be the Washington football team. And like I said, it's because it's defense, simply.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Number 7, he has not the Denver Broncos. Sorry. He has the New England Patriots. And the New England, I agree with this spot. We kind of don't know what to think about them. And they added Matt Judon from the Baltimore Ravens over the offseason. He's a guy who's going to get to the quarterback, so be able to add more pressure to him. I think it's a great pickup for them. They added Dante Hightower coming back from opting out last season. They had 8 players opt out last year. That'll help this team get back to kind of a competitive team than they were last year, and they still got Bill Belichick. So this team will be good. It's all going to depend on who's their quarterback. Cam Newton, can he play consistently? Can he get over the hump? How is his shoulder? Can he throw the ball anymore? I'm not a big fan of him, if you can't tell. But the rookie quarterback, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but what's his name, Jeff? Do you know his name? What is his freaking name? Mac Jones.
Oh,
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, yes.
I think he takes over Cam Newton's spot this year and leads him to a decent team that can make the playoffs with the defense being so good.
I mean, he's a defensive-minded coach. Anytime you have a defensive-minded coach or a defensive-first coach, then you're going to that's going to be the number one priority for that coach, is to bolster up the defense. I mean, obviously he's going to make decisions offensively, things like that. But I mean, the Patriots typically, for the most part, have had a good defense for many years. I mean, he and he gets pieces in there that work, and he just drafts a bunch of pieces and fits them in and makes it happen. So, I mean, I think that obviously, it's kind of somehow it always works out for New England when it comes to the defense. So, that offense, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the big question mark. And after Tom Brady left, it left him with quite a big hole to fill. So, which I think we all like. But
this is gonna be a weird transition for New England Patriots fans. I mean, to be able to watch this team have to claw their way back to where they were, and may never ever get to that point. Not to say that they'll never win a championship, they'll never be in a Super Bowl, they'll never have success in the playoffs. No, I think they will. I just think that what you had was so rare and so special that probably won't happen again. And if not, more than likely will not happen.
No, definitely won't happen again. And
dynasties are rare. Dynasties are rare to keep around, and dynasties do not come very often. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan saying this, so it's not something that when it happens, it's like savor it because it probably will never happen again in your lifetime.
Right, and especially in football, it's hard to repeat. It's hard to just go back to the Super Bowl, and But number 8, Jeff, the Denver Broncos, sir. That's your team. He puts in here Denver. They added Kyle Fuller, which I really liked him out of Chicago. At cornerback, they added Ronald Darby to bolster up this cornerback position. Not only that, Jeff, they drafted a stud in Patrick Surtain, who will be a star in this league, I think, to go with safety duo Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson. And, Jeff, I didn't even mention Von Miller and Bradley Chubb yet, and who, if are all healthy, this team's completely healthy on defense. They're very scary.
Yes.
I agree with Denver being in the top 10. I do not agree with their spot. I think they should be 5 or higher. This is a scary defense.
Okay, and so here's my. I'm fine. If he wants to put us 8, that's fine. That gives this team more fuel for to work with this year. This team is hungry. This team is hungry. This team is ready. This defense is hungry. Von Miller's hungry. Von Miller is going to prove some people this year, and it all comes down to collective and overall collective sack total. And I think that if we really want to judge this defense at the end of the season, it's going to be how many sacks does Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, and not just Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. We also have Shelby Harris. Mm-hmm. And that's another line clogger right there. And Shelby Harris basically is a younger and more, I think, he's a version of Shaq Barrett. He's kind of like, I wouldn't have asked for a better player to replace Shaq Barrett when Shaq Barrett left. And Shelby Harris was constantly, there were fans for years. They would constantly tag him. And fans were like, just pay the guy. They finally paid him this offseason, and well deserved. This guy I've seen him. I don't know how many times he's blocked field goals. Just by putting his hands in the air. It's blocked punts. I mean, it's insane. He did it twice last year. He's a beast in the middle of this defensive line. And ultimately, man, I'm telling you right now, if anybody wants to get an idea of how much depth is on this team, not one starter, but Shelby Harris, and I want to say, Shelby Harris and Justin Simmons were the only 2 starters to play in the Viking game. And look how that game turned out against that team. They couldn't score to save their life. That was a lot of that. And we did have Patrick Surtain in there. So a lot of that is not even first team starters. I mean, Patrick Surtain, technically, even though he should be, and he will be, but technically, he's not a first team.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, okay. You're talking about the preseason game.
Yeah, I'm talking about the preseason game. Know. So, I mean, just in terms of depth, there's a lot of depth on this defense. It's nuts, and this is a talented defense that is definitely top 5. But if they want to put us in top 8 or in the 8th spot or obviously within the top 10, I'm fine with that, because this defense is going to prove a lot of people wrong this year. It's going to be a scary defense. You do not want to go up against this team.
Jeff, let me.
We have not seen Kyle Fuller yet. We have not seen Ronald Darby yet. So
Kyle Fuller is really good. I've seen him twice a year, every year,
right,
for playing my team. He's a good pickup. Really good pickup.
Yeah. So, and Von Miller, we haven't seen yet. Bradley Chubb, obviously, we haven't seen yet. And yes, all of them are healthy. A lot of these guys were injured last year. Bradley Chubb was injured for half the season. Von Miller was out for the entire year. He got injured in preseason and was out for the whole year. People are also sleeping on Justin Simmons. Kareem Jackson is a threat as well. Patrick Surtain has already shown to be a threat already, and that he's only played in one preseason game. And all I hear in terms of any of these practices and stuff for the, against ones versus ones when it comes to practices against, obviously Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, this team shuts them down. I mean, they struggle against this defense, which says a lot. I know a lot of fans are like, "Oh, what the heck? The offense is struggling." I'm like, this defense is probably one of the reasons why they're struggling. I mean, to go up against these guys.
Let me ask you.
In practice,
let me ask you a quick question, Jeff, because you said something about Indianapolis Colts earlier in this episode about. Is it the wrong time or what a waste of having a good defense with no offense? Do you see that with the Denver Broncos? Because I've told you before, their quarterback is their main question mark. Drew Lock's not the answer. Teddy Bridgewater's not that great. The offense has talent around it. What do you say? What do you say to that criticism?
I say no. The reason I say no is because we're going to see a different kind of offense this year. I think we're going to run. We have arguably one of the top running backs out of the draft, and we just snagged this guy away from the Dolphins. The Dolphins wanted him, Devontae Williams, and the Dolphins wanted him bad, and we moved. Peyton, the GM, he moved pieces around to get him. And so far what I've seen highlight film from him in college. He's insane. And the stuff I've seen in terms of preseason so far and what I've heard about in terms of practices is this guy is nuts. That's also not taking into account that we also have, I'm trying to think of the guy. He came from the Chargers. What's his name? Dang it, Ryan. He's Melvin Gordon. We also have Melvin Gordon, who is potentially the starter so far. So, I mean, when it comes to this team, I think that they are going to rely on the run. Offensive line is pretty good outside. I'd say they're definitely probably in the top 10. And if they improve, which I think they will, this season, then that obviously will definitely bolster up that run threat as well. In terms of quarterback, I think that if we rely on the run for the most part, run first, pass second kind of team, that would open the door up for an offensive pass game. Now, why I say no as well is because there is one person that is more than likely hitting the market at the end of the season. And he really, really wants to go one place.
I know who you're talking about, Jeff. I know who you're talking about.
So this defense isn't going anywhere. Justin Simmons got a huge contract, massive deal. Von Miller, that's we don't know yet. If Von Miller has an insane year and he gets over 10 sacks, Von Miller's coming back. He's coming back. Bradley Chubb's already signed up. Shelby Harris obviously signed up. Kyle Fuller, I think they would restructure and get more out of that. I think it's only a 1-year deal with him. But overall, the way this defense is, obviously Patrick Surtain's coming back. But I mean, in terms of this team, it's still going to this defense is more than likely. Most of these pieces are still going to be here by next year. And, there's nothing. Even if Kyle Fuller walks, Patrick Surtain goes in his spot, right? I mean, you just kind of
without missing a blink and maybe even better,
right? Right. So I mean, in terms of defense, I'm fine with the defense, and I'm fine with what's going on right now because ultimately, worst case scenario, we get Aaron Rodgers next year, and then there you go.
So Jeff, well, look, I'm a Green Bay fan. If y'all don't know this by now, and for those that are tuning in, big Green Bay fan. Aaron Rodgers is gone next season. Next year, it's over unless we win a Super Bowl. And we could win a Super Bowl with the talent we have, but the odds are very stacked against us. There's two teams I want to see Aaron Rodgers go to. One is the Denver Broncos, who he said he wants to go play for. So that is easily probably the best odds of him going there. And that defense with Aaron, and then Aaron Rodgers with those offensive weapons and that defense that's Super Bowl bound. Number two,
and plus you gotta also understand that the general manager, he is like he's a draft pick machine. So I mean, like, the thing about it is, by the end of the season, right? Whether it doesn't matter what happens, Aaron Rodgers once he decides he wants to leave and he picks and he says, I want Denver or I want somebody else. Denver's got a lot of pieces to give. They definitely have a lot of pieces to especially offensive pieces to hand over, because I think that's really what Green Bay is looking for. They're looking for some offensive weaponry. I don't think they're looking for. I mean, their defense is pretty good. I don't think that. I mean, there's not a whole lot, but I think in terms of offense to help Jordan Love, Denver's got quite a bit of pieces.
Right. Well, and the second team would be the Washington Redskins, because they're quarterback away too. That defense is fantastic. They have some offensive weapons. They're just quarterback away. Those are the two teams I'd like to see him go to. That's my only question with Denver is their quarterback play. They have the wide receivers and the offensive line, and they just drafted one heck of a running back, it looks like. So they're that quarterback away.
So here's the news wire that's going on right now. Okay. So the rumor is we will know by the end of this next game, preseason game, who the quarterback's going to be. Vic Fangio already alluded to that. And he said, don't think of it as who's going to win in the preseason game. Think about who's going to show up in practice. And I think that's perfectly normal. I think that's fair, because a lot of teams decide that they are going to play certain people or whatever. And that's kind of how preseason is for the most part. So I think that's a good assessment from what I'm hearing. If Drew Lock continues to, and I'm not saying he's outplaying Teddy Bridgewater, because I don't think that's the case. I don't think that he's sitting there running away. Obviously he's not, because he would have already been told that he's a starter. But the problem with Teddy Bridgewater is allergic to the red zone. He's completely allergic to it. And that's what we see. We've definitely seen that in the last few practices, is he'd get down to the red zone and then no touchdown, and then no touchdown. And then the what is it, the nickname Steady Teddy, and that's kind of what he is.
He's and
it gets to a point.
Guy.
Yeah, and Vic Fangio doesn't like that. He just doesn't like that at all.
No, he's
and so I think the difference between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. 1 second, let me let my cat out real quick. Go. Okay. So the difference between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock has that ability to crank it up to another level and throw it and accurately throw it and get those big plays. And I think Teddy Bridgewater has a very hard time doing stuff like that. And rightfully so. I mean, you got to understand Drew Lock's younger than him. His arm's a lot, he's got a lot more gas in the arm, so to speak, than Teddy Bridgewater. And Lock has really been injured. Well, the only injury that he had really was a few of them. And one of them was just a weird freak one. When he first came to the Broncos, he cut his hand or something like that in a preseason game. And that wasn't really like, oh no, what happened there? He tore his ACL or whatever. That was just kind of a freak thing. But I think if he starts making plays like that in practice against the defense, especially against the ones on the defense, that's what puts him over Bridgewater. And not to say Bridgewater is not going to be on the team. Obviously, he's going to be the backup. But if they get some average play from the quarterbacks, I'm not looking for star-studded quarterback play. I'm looking for, just make this move the offense. And if that happens, and the defense will take care of the rest. and that's it.
All right. So sorry, we didn't mean to get into a Denver Broncos talk, but that is just favorite team. So
Well, that was the question you asked. Is
yeah, I did ask that question.
Yeah,
you're correct. When you said that earlier about Indianapolis, I was like, I got to ask him about Denver because I think that I do have a problem with the quarterback's position. But I think you're exactly right. You don't need an elite quarterback with such an elite defense. You need a guy that's capable of running the offense, and if they can put up a couple points, the defense can shut it down as long as they're all healthy. That's the biggest thing, I think. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. All right, Jeff, at number 9, he has the Buffalo Bills. All right, so they drafted Ed Oliver and linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, and Ed Oliver came out of Houston. He was a beast playing for college. He hasn't really popped off the page yet of being a star player. They have the potential to do so. Then you got the first preseason game, and this is coming from the article. I just took a little piece out of there. Greg Rose flashed this first preseason game as he got through the offensive lineman Penei Sewell and sacked the quarterback. Now Sewell is supposed to be the best lineman taken in this draft. He's supposed to be the next best thing, best for sure, guaranteed. Great offensive lineman. They're penciling his name in to the Hall of Fame. So he got paid. He was able to get around him and get a sack. So that looked good on his resume. This defensive backfield is going to be their main dish here. And they got Micah Hyde and Jordan Pryor. And then Tre'Davious White is a game-changing quarterback. Micah Hyde is a guy that Green Bay let go, and I so hate that we let him go because he's a superstar there. The defense of the Buffalo Bills, they go along with the offense here, who has been fantastic. They just signed their quarterback to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. This team's good. This defense is good. I like them between 9 and 7. Probably this defense. I think they'll fit that bill between there, and they can still continue to push towards the Super Bowl. They'll be a playoff team, and they should win their division. We picked them to win their division last year, or last episode. So
I think they've been trending this way for a while. I mean, Buffalo's had a defense, right, for at least a few years.
I think it's funny because even when they were bad, their defense was still pretty good, and they played pretty hard.
Yeah.
I think we've seen that switch. I think the offense is actually better now than the defense. But if those pieces like Ed Oliver and Tremaine Edmonds step up and are able to play better, they do have a good defense. And I just think the offense is better, but that's the way the league has gone, right? We've seen that switch over of throwing the ball more, and we've seen their quarterback do it. He's gotten better each season he's played, and they just paid him. It seems like if they solidify the offense, which they've already done, I think in the next few off seasons, this team could definitely be one of the top defenses, possibly. And because they have a few pieces now already, and you add a few more even in the draft, moving up or whatever. I could see this defense being even better than it is in the next few years for sure. And then obviously accompany that with a great offense, and that's dangerous. The one defense I think out of the 9 he's listed that might not even finish in the top 10, if I had to name one, I think it's going to be Indy, the Colts, and they are a well-rounded football team. I just feel like, especially at the quarterback position, if Wentz is out for 12 weeks, I think with a bad quarterback play, he's going to put their defense in bad spots, short fields with interceptions. It might put him in a bad spot, and he's a questionable one. I wouldn't have him up that high, but
it could also tire him out. That's another problem. If that defense is constantly on the field, I mean,
I could see them. I could see them dropping quite a bit. But the other teams he has in here, I like. I think honorable mention. I think Green Bay has a chance to be top 10 this year with our new defensive coordinator. He runs the Vic Fangio system. That's what I love about the hire. He came from the Rams. We have the talent. So I could see us finishing in the top 10. I think we finished 12 last season, so we weren't that far off from that. But I think also you got to look at the 49ers are a team that defense is going to be really good as long as they stay healthy. That was a big issue last year as they finished 6-10. And I think the Chargers the Chargers defense might be pretty good too as well if they can stay healthy. They've had a lot of injuries throughout the last couple of years, and health is the biggest key in football. But,
and it's hard to stay healthy. Honestly, I mean, injuries happen.
All right, guys.
Speaking of injuries.
Speaking of injuries. So
this
popped up the other day. So that is Spotlight of the Week. Next week, we are going to get into the top 9 offensive teams in the league, and we'll see how we talk about and feel about that. But speaking of injuries, Jeff, the headlines of the week this week: Dak Prescott going to miss all of preseason. Coach McCarthy says it's a high possibility. That's a red flag, Jeff. That's a big red flag. You think back, we've talked about this a little bit, but Coach McCarthy said he's going to miss 2 days of throwing. He might miss the entire preseason. Dak's first game back since the broken ankle will be against the best defense in the NFL and the Super Bowl champs. Good luck, buddy.
See, this is exactly what I was talking about last week. We have to see him play, and I get it. I completely understand. The injury was gory and horrific. My wife and I watched the first episode of Hard Knocks, and she saw it. She was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Yeah." And then they played it over and over again. I was like, all right, we saw it the first time. We saw it the first time. Yeah. I mean, they showed it like 4 times. I'm like, okay, we get it. We saw it. All right. We don't need to continue showing it. And it's slow-mo and everything. I'm like, no,
you can see his bone popping out right here if you zoom in closely.
Yeah. I was like, geez. So again, the injury was horrific. I get being cautious, being worried, not wanting to injure him even more with this new shoulder soreness, whatever. I don't think obviously this is the leg.
No.
If it was, then I would be like, okay, something's really wrong. Then you've been out and had multiple surgeries.
Well, my question is, he's been out. He's been rehabbing. Why is his shoulder sore? Why is his shoulder strained if he's been rehabbing and he's been doing those things? He's been throwing the football over the summer. It's just kind of weird that he's taken this time off and he's been rehabbing that ankle and resting. And then the first week of training camp, he can't throw a ball 5 yards with any force. So it's just
see. Here's the weird part about that, and I don't really understand it either because his injury had nothing to do with that. And the whole thing was in terms of the Hard Knocks. If you want to take that as gospel, it's just like, if you look at it, you go, okay, well, they were like, oh, he's overthrowing. We don't need him overdoing it.
Right.
For his arm. Like, what are you talking about? I get not running or not wanting to do pad, tackles or whatever. And just kind of, making sure that he's not going to run or try to break away or that kind of thing. And I get that. I understand because of the injury he had. But not overdoing it with his arm, that doesn't make much sense to me.
Right. I read something from Michael Irving. He's talked about this and talked about how he is really worried about it. He thinks there's something that the Dallas Cowboys aren't saying, but he said he's out there at practice, and when he saw Dak Prescott taking a shotgun snap, and then throwing the ball back to the center with his left hand, not his throwing hand, he knew something was up. So,
well, they're holding him back, and I'm just kind of like, why would you hold him back when he's throwing? Like, if he's sore, I get it. Like, I understand that.
Well, they were holding him back.
Is this a new injury, or is this something else? Like, is this bigger than it really needs to be? And that's my problem with this whole thing with him. It's
definitely bigger. It's a new injury. This is, if you go, you watch the Hard Knocks. They were throwing, and then they said, hey, we kind of need to, We don't need him out here throwing 24/7. And then the next day he had it where he couldn't. He had some pain when he was trying to push the ball to get the ball downfield, and that's a new injury. The coach played it off as he'll miss 2 days of throwing, but he could miss the whole preseason, and I think that's what is really going on. Is this something, and I could clearly, I think it's, teams don't want to come out and, give everything as far as the injury report. And I get all that, but it's also, Jeff, start of the season's coming. Jerry Jones wants the fans to show up. Let's not scare the fan base. Let's just kind of keep it hush hush.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I know it's a new injury, like, obviously, but my thing is this common? Has any of these coaches been like, oh, this happens?
No, and it's they said it's a baseball injury, and that's why we talked about last week. They reached out to the Rangers medical staff and the New York Yankees medical staff, because this is something that usually a quarterback in the NFL doesn't deal with. I guess with the way they throw the ball differently, but it's interesting. I do think he plays game one. I don't think he misses any time, but I just think missing all the time and him coming back against the number one defense last season, it's gonna be tough sledding for him. So.
I mean, if anybody's watched Hard Knocks, I'm sure the people listening to this have already watched it, possibly. But I mean, ultimately, if you kind of look at the facial expressions of everybody whenever that's being told to them, they look scared.
Yeah. Well, they don't have an Andy Dalton this year, Jeff. I mean, they didn't go in out and get a backup quarterback that can actually keep them in some games. And if Dak Prescott's missing games this year, they have zero chance of winning. They might win because Andy Dalton. There's zero shot of winning. Their quarterbacks are incompetent to play the game, and it doesn't look very good for them. The next headline, Jeff. The Las Vegas Raiders become the first NFL team to require proof of vaccination to go to any home games in the Raiders Stadium. Well, here's all I got to say about that, Jeff. If you're a season ticket holder, you better get the vaccine or you better sell your tickets, because you can't go to the game without it, and you just wasted a lot of money on your season tickets. The Saints we're close to doing this. The Saints are allowing vaccinated people, or if you have a negative COVID test to get in. So we started seeing this around the league. Jerry Jones came out earlier and said he's not going to require a shot or a negative COVID test, which I think is the way to go. Jerry Jones is not going to miss out on any money. So, but yeah, this is the first time we've seen that happen. You wonder how much the Raiders are going to, I think, probably going to lose out on some money. Maybe they feel like that's the best thing to do. I don't know. I'm not much of mandating shots and stuff like that, but it sucks for the Raider fans to have those home seats every year, and now that this COVID's gone on, and the new variant and all this crap's going, they can't go to the game unless they're vaccinated. So I think it sucks, but I'm not a Raiders fan, so it is what it is. And
well, I mean, who's really going to be going to see the Raiders play anyway? But kidding. It's
I know you don't like them, Jeff. I know you don't like them. So.
Well, obviously, it is what it is. I think that when it's up to the organization to make the decision or choice, what they're going to do with that or whatever. I don't think, and obviously the NFL hasn't really come down with any kind of solution to it. So it's up, and at that point, because they haven't, it's up to the teams. It's what they're comfortable with. It's what they're they're going to do what they think they need to do. And if the Raiders organization thinks this is the way to go, then this is on them and up to them. So in terms of season ticket holders, a lot of times people sell those tickets anyway. There are people who rarely go to every game. I have an uncle who has season tickets to the Cowboys. A lot of times he sells those tickets, or or he'll go to the games he wants to go to, and then he'll raffle them on a charity auction, or he'll give them to my dad. A couple of games to my dad. So a lot of times, when you go see tickets, like if you see, Ticketmaster or any other ticket services, a lot of times those are season ticket holders that sold them. So like last year, I think they got their money back. They sold all their tickets back to the Cowboys, obviously, because they didn't allow a lot of the fans there, especially the early part of the season. But, it's up to them. In terms of like what the Saints are doing, again, it's their decision and choice. Are they going to lose some money? Sure. But ultimately, we know where the real money's made, and it's made in advertisements. So it's just kind of, tickets are tickets, and they make, and that ultimately that's more of an economy situation, as opposed to anything else. That's jobs and stuff that they bring in for concessions. And then obviously people are going in there buying merchandise, things like that. But I think ultimately they'll still make money through TV advertisements and that kind of stuff. So that, other than that, yeah, it's up to the organization. I don't really have a stance either way.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't affect me. If I was in Green Bay and lived with my favorite team and I had season tickets and then this happened, I would be extremely upset, but I'm not. So,
yeah.
Jeff, this broke the other day. The FBI are now investigating Deshaun Watson's sexual assault case. But it's not for what you think. It's not to figure out if Deshaun Watson actually did this. It's actually to figure out if he's being extorted. I figured, okay, cool. We're going to finally figure out what happened. Is Deshaun Watson the guy that they say he is, or is this all just to get money out of him? Well, we might find one way or the other that they're trying to figure out, though, if these women. I think I don't know if it's all of them or just one of them. I think there's one of them that they're kind of focusing on about pay up, or we're going to bash your name. And I think it's more of, they're going to figure out if he's being extorted to try and get money out of him, which is obviously illegal. So I'm hoping this comes out and kind of clears the air on kind of at least a couple situations of the 20 some odd women that are going against Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think some of this is also from Deshaun Watson's side of this as well, because he wants to get this taken care of and cleaned up, or just in general. I think he wants all this over with as soon as possible. So maybe this is also some of Deshaun Watson legal team reaching out, and obviously maybe even I don't know if the Texans really care or not, because ultimately he wants out of there anyway. So they could care less personally. But I think that for Deshaun Watson, this is the ultimate test as to what's going on here. And I say that because I just think that this is something that I could see, if he's innocent, I could see his legal team going, we need a thorough investigation. And the FBI they're going to do that. And let's hope that if his legal team is confident in this, being innocent, then we have a lot to say as to, jumping to conclusions in this situation. But if not, then Deshaun Watson deserves every criticism he gets.
Exactly. And speaking off that, this actually broke earlier of the Trevor Bauer case. Speaking of, women, accusations of sexual assault, or in Trevor Bauer's case, actual abuse and everything. Trevor Bauer's accuser's bid for a restraining order is denied after emotional hearing. I just read a little bit of this. It says basically that the judge said when Trevor Bauer, when the lady set boundaries for Trevor Bauer, he followed them. So the restraining orders that she requested to get against him is denied. So hopefully we'll get some closure on his case as well. We talked about that a while back, and they've kind of basically spinning him from baseball with pay. Will he be a Dodger? All these questions come up, but we need to figure out what's going to happen with him as well on the court side of it before we figure out what we can proceed with his professional career. So,
yeah, that'll be something that definitely we'll have to tackle whenever more information comes out.
All right, Jeff. A scary moment out in Oakland the other night as Oakland Athletics closer Chris Bassett takes a 100-mile-per-hour fastball off of the bat straight to his face. But he gets some really good news. He's expected to make a full recovery with no eyesight damage. That's the biggest thing when you get hit in the head or in the face like that. Obviously, is brain injury, and because if you lose your eyesight, it could cost you your career. But he's expected to make a full recovery. It was pretty gruesome. I don't know if you were able to watch the video. He went down straight down on the ground. He got carted off, taken to the hospital. He will have surgery once all the swelling goes down. He broke his jaw and his cheekbone, but prayers for a quick recovery for him, and good to know that he's going to be all right.
Yeah, I was in the middle of watching the Yankees and Red Sox when that was going on, and I saw a little bit of the highlight of that. I think of them showing that, and I mean, it's a tough guy, man. Because if it was anybody else, if it was your average person, that would have probably just taken. If that was me, it would have taken me out. Like I would have been like, well, that's it. That's how I went out.
And these are all gruesome, pretty much. But this one, you could hear the sound when it hits him in the head. It was one of the worst ones I think I've seen. So just quick. I mean, oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine. He almost got his glove on it. He was. I mean, you have to have cat-like reflexes to get that ball caught or at least deflected. It was bad. It was a bad scene, but good to know he'll be back and ready for next season. And when something like that happens and you're okay physically after surgery and everything works out, it's all about the mental game. Is he going to be okay on the mound, getting back out there and pitching? We had a player for the Rangers, Willie Calhoun, who we got over from the Dodgers, and he was playing pretty good for us, and he took a fastball to the face, and it broke his jaw. He had to eat through his straw. It was, and he's still not there mentally to get back in that. I mean, he's playing, but he's not the same player he used to be, and and that does play an effect into all that. But speaking of baseball, Jeff, what a night for Tyler Gilbert the other night as he no-hits the San Diego Padres with his first career start ever. First of all, the San Diego Padres are a good team. They're a playoff team. This is not like he no-hit the Detroit Tigers or someone really bad. His dad was there in attendance, an emotional night for them. What a first game. Does anybody else beat this, Jeff? The very first time you set up on the field, on the court, on the ice, whatever sport you're playing, you throw a no-hitter. That's insane. That's awesome. Super awesome. Yeah,
I think that obviously it can't be replicated because he's the first to do it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll be replicated. That's pretty tough. Baseball's a weird sport. A lot of times they don't give you a long leash like that. For the most part, if you're just coming in and you have your first start, you're usually never going to get a chance to go full like that. You're only going to get to go to like, I don't know, like 4.5, 5.5 innings. And then you'll have the pitch count, which is another thing that is done in baseball.
Well, now too, Jeff, you talk about a completely different game. The analytics that have come into baseball say that if a team sees you a third time around, they're going to knock the ball. They're going to knock the cover off the ball, and you don't see that very often. You don't see pitchers go 9 innings or go 8 innings and go and pitch full games. But well,
a lot of that is also bullpens have gotten better. So there's a lot of guys in the bullpen that can throw 100-mile-an-hour. Like they can kind of shut you down. So I mean, that's another thing too, on top of that. But the fact that they allowed him to go, which it seemed to me is more of a gut feeling, like once you started noticing that, and you see it, and you saw it this year, like I think when Garrett Cole did a complete game complete shutout game against the Astros, Boone tried to go out there and Garrett Cole told him, no, I'm finishing this game. So it's up to the coach ultimately. And if the coach has a gut and says, you know what, let's do it.
Right.
I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't like all the analytics that have come into baseball, but I'm glad they let him go out there. And, I think as long as you got a no-hitter, a perfect game going on, they've got to let him try it. And they stuck it out, and it panned out for him. So speaking of no-hitters, Jeff, I was playing my season on MLB The Show the other night, and I got a perfect game all the way into the 9th inning, and I gave up a single. And I was so mad. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Almost pitched a perfect game. And no, it wasn't on rookie or easy. All right. So don't give me that. Don't give me that crap either. But all right, Jeff.
I mean, I got. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. Go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I just wanted to let everybody know. I don't know if anybody wants to take a look after they listen to this, or maybe you've watched it or not. But the Eagles currently, at least right now, the Eagles are playing against I think the Patriots preseason. So they're the second preseason game.
Yeah, they played it
for
as
week
a
2
rematch of the Super
they're
Bowl.
The first.
Basically.
Yeah, they're the first preseason game of week 2. So week 2 of preseason just started.
So next week we will give you a breakdown, the spotlight of the week of the top 9 offenses going into the season. We'll give you the headlines, obviously, and then the week after, we usually the week before the week of the NFL, we will give you the top 5 games, and we will give you a prediction of who we think is going to win. And we need to keep track of our record this year, Jeff, and see who comes out on top on that in the top 5 games. I'm still going to see if I'm going to run a NFL Island like I did. I didn't do it last year. I did it the year before. I might start that up again. That's a pretty fun game to play. I do fantasy football, but I'm not really big into it. So I don't know if you'll hear any fantasy football talk on the show here. But a lot of people get into that. Jeff, you play, I think, but I don't think you're all in on it either. Really, you know what I mean? Like there's some like diehard fantasy football players, and I'm a casual fantasy football player. It comes to that.
It's hard to keep track of stuff sometimes because you're also trying to focus on your team.
Yeah.
So you're trying to focus on your team, and then you're then sometimes it's like you forget there's like, oh, well, that person, there's an off, they had a bye week. I'm like,
well, then we had the podcast going, and there's so much during the NFL season that it's just,
there's a lot. So yeah, in terms of that, it's difficult to keep track of. But the other aspect of what you were talking about was a little bit easier to keep track of.
Yes, definitely.
So,
all right, Jeff. Well, it's time for what's in your locker this week.
Oh, well, first things on my locker is I have to give some form of shout out to the New York Yankees. They are the hottest team in baseball over the last month. They've just been killing it. I think they're 28-5.
Yeah, they took over the first place, right?
Yep. And right now they're beating Minnesota 4-0.
Boston fans are crying.
This team is, but yeah, we swept last night. We swept Boston. So now we knocked them back. They're clawing for a wild card spot, and it's really against. And so the Yankees are trying to gain some ground there, which it seems like they are. And it's up to Tampa Bay. If Tampa Bay starts losing, this team was very different. When you got Aaron Judge stealing bases, when you have a lot of guys playing, they're playing just hard nosed baseball. And this is the first time I've seen that with this team. There's no letting back at all. I mean, people are stealing bases. People are hitting for opposite field hits. Gary Sanchez yesterday, opposite field hit, scored 2 runs. I mean, just little things like that. Gary Sanchez doesn't have to do that. He's got power. He can try to just knock it out if he wants. But the fact that they're purposely trying to push runs across the board in little ways is huge. This team is a different team. I would have never thought that a month ago. I would have been like, we'll be lucky to get a wild card spot, you know? So, that's the one thing I've been, especially recently, been really focused on is baseball. And, other than that, I've been really paying attention to, kind of just, chilling out. We've been watching some shows lately, me and the wife. And then recently, as of today, we finally got the trailer for the new Call of Duty Vanguard, which is pretty cool. And that trailer shocked a lot of people in terms of graphics. They weren't expecting a big jump up, but it definitely looks like it's going to be one game to play for sure. I think it comes out November 5th. So, yeah. So that in terms of in my locker, that's pretty much what's in my locker. What's in your locker, Brian?
All right, Jeff. Well, yeah, that Vanguard trailer you sent me looks insane. It's definitely one I'll get. I didn't like the Cold War one we just got through, so hopefully I like this one a little bit better. But this week, well, it's the girls' first week back of school. It's my first week back from vacation, so we're all kind of a little bit tired, getting back in the routine. And the girls are really loving their first week. They've had a great first week of school. It hasn't been closed down or anything because of COVID yet, so that's a great thing. They have the choice of whether they want to wear a mask or not, so that's great as well. And so it's going great so far for them. Their last day's tomorrow for this week, and it'll wrap up the week of the first week of school. I'm learning a new route at work, which is always fun and yet stressful. I'm learning Saginaw route. It's a pretty big route, but so I got that going on. I'll run that next week. And then next week, I start my testosterone treatments next week, which low teats runs in my family, and I've always thought I've had it. My dad and my brother both have it, and I was like, well, when I was on vacation last week, I decided I'm 33. I need to get a doctor, right? A doctor that I can go to and just get checked up and get treated. And I recently had a uncle pass away about like 7 or 8 months ago, and it's kind of because he never went to the doctor, and they found, man, there's a lot of things going on with you. So, I was like, well, let me go to the doctor. Let me get a regular doctor and get checked out. And yeah, I start those treatments next week. They say it takes about 2 weeks to start really to fill in some things, which I'm excited about that because I've been really tired lately, and I think that has a big part of it. Just getting ready for the football season, man. The Green Bay Packers they just brought out some new uniforms today that they're going to be wearing week 7 against the Washington football team. It's kind of a throwback to older jerseys, but not, we used to have those old school ugly jerseys that were blue and yellow. But this is actually a new school look to an old school look, if you know what I mean. It's they're all green. They look pretty sick. They got some yellow stripes. The numbers are yellow, and so I'm looking forward to buying me that jersey when it's available to get. And just get ready for the season, man. I bought me a new hat the other day, and whenever we get our videos going on here and on YouTube, you'll be able to see that new hat. But that's one thing too. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I have to go at some point soon. I got to go to the pro shop at the stadium. Yeah. I got to go to the pro shop at the stadium, and because it's open all the time, pretty much. Not like 24 hours, obviously, but it's
you wake up always. At 1. I need a hat. I need to go.
It's like 2 a.m. Like, what the hell are you doing here? But no, like I definitely, because I went online. I was curious to see, because it's always curious to see what new stuff they'll have going into the season. So I do like some of the stuff that they have in terms of the hats. and things. So yeah, those some of the new stuff is pretty cool. So
yeah, and I have I have a hat collection. I just have quite a different hats from my base, from my teams, from my football. I have a lot more Packer hats than anything else, but I've been getting back into fitted hats. I went with more of the trucker style hat or the snapback hat. I've been getting to more of the fitted hats now. So
I like fitted hats.
Yeah,
I have both, but I like fitted hats.
I'm at that weird size. I'm at a 7 5/8, and if I have that one, it fits, but it's a little snug. So if I wear it all day, I kind of get a headache. And then the other size above it's too big, and if my ears flop over, it's just a weird thing. But I bought this hat, and it's because most fitted hats come with a flat bill. Well, now they have an option to have it's called a low rise hat, and the bills comes curved, which I like that better than the flat. So I ordered it, and I love it. It's a fantastic hat. And speaking of YouTube, we are actually on YouTube. I wanted to shout that out. We do have a YouTube channel. It's Outspoken Sportscast. So go look that up. Eventually, we will get video when we get really good webcams, and we'll start doing video. But the podcast is on YouTube now, and made our very first post on TikTok today. I love TikTok. I watch a lot of videos. I've never posted a video, so we do have an Outspoken Sportscast TikTok. I'm still trying to figure out how to really use that thing as far as the funny videos. That will be mainly for sports takes, breaking news type things. So come follow us on that as well. We're trying to reach all platforms, and right now I believe we are. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on TikTok now. We're on everything. We're on everywhere. You can find us on Pandora. You can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on Apple Music, Google Music. So you can find us everywhere. Hope you like the new cover art. Jeff's been doing a fantastic job with that, the new intro. And I feel really good about it. So we're just trying to grow the show and give you guys some good content. We're really excited to get into the NFL season.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was funny. We were talking about like merchandise and stuff, and I told my wife, I was like, because we watched the Field of Dreams game, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want those hats. Like they had the logo that the Yankees had a long time ago was a little different than what you see. It was more slanted a little bit. I think the Y was more slanted on one side with the N, and so it looks a little off, but it's kind of cool because it's just this old school logo. So yeah, like I'm a big, I like a lot of retro stuff. I have like a retro Bronco hat. Obviously I've I don't know if anybody's seen any of the stuff, but when we do video, I'll have to show it. It's the old school Bronco hat with the horse, kind of logo on it, but it's not like I used to have one that had the D with the horse in the middle.
Yeah. So
I have the first. Yeah. The one I have right now is actually the yellow. I mean, it's not the yellow, but it's when they had the yellow jerseys, it's that logo, horse on there. And, but it's got the colors currently. So
nice. I like a lot of the hats. They change them up every year, so you get a new hat and kind of get ready for the season to start. And I actually, Jeff, I'm a Texas Ranger fan. I just don't have any Texas Ranger hats. I actually went to Lids to look for one, but I couldn't find. I just didn't want a plain one. I like to get the ones with different colors, and I ended up getting a Los Angeles Laker hats, but you go there again. I have some of them, but I was like, I don't have a fitted one. I really like the look, so I ended up getting that one. And so yeah. My goal is to get a hat for all the teams I like. I have a Mavericks finals hat, championship hat. I have various Yankee hats, and then I have various Bronco hats, but I don't have a Red Wing hat, and I'm gonna eventually get a Red Wing hat, but yeah, that's a good goal. I have one for every team, and I've had a Ranger hat before. I've either lost it or it got lost in a move. That's the only one I need to kind of complete I have a hat for every team that I like. So that's the Texas Rangers, not the New York Rangers, but
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like I'm ready for week 2. I want to get this quarterback situation figured out in Denver, and in terms of who's going to be the quarterback, because it's about time at this point to figure that last part out. And I think that game is Saturday night. I think we play Seahawks, so probably going to order some wings for the first time this season.
You pay more attention to preseason than me. I'll give you that.
Well, because there's some question marks.
Yeah.
And that's really the only reason.
Well, I mean,
why.
Jordan.
If we didn't have any questions,
Jordan Love is injured. They don't know if he's going to play this next game. He got hurt in the last week's game. Was he took a shot, a sack. He played good though last week. He looked efficient, and he played really well. So we have some dumb Packer fans who are bashing the guy. I'm like, dude, he went out. He played good. He played good for his first game in 2 seasons. He didn't play preseason when he first drafted him, and he didn't play preseason last year because there was no preseason last year. So he came out and threw for over 144 yards, a touchdown, and he was efficient. He looked good. People are expecting him to come out and be Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to happen right away. Aaron Rodgers' first preseason game was garbage. He threw an interception. He played like crap. He only threw like 40 yards. Okay, so let's cut the guy some slack. I know you're not ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers yet. He's moving on from us next year. And rooting for Love to fail is like rooting for your pilot to crash the plane. So they're just not smart. So let's.
But I want my pilot to crash the plane.
Let's be a little smarter as Packer fans out there on these Facebook chats, because it drives me insane. Yeah, guys, I really enjoy doing this show. I hope you guys enjoy it too. Please feel free to share it with us. Comment if you find us on TikTok. You can comment on the videos, questions and answering. Jeff, how's that website coming? I forgot to ask you about that.
It's coming. I just need that info from you.
Yes, my bad. I dropped the ball. That's my bad.
No problem. No problem.
I dropped the ball, so I'll send you the info over probably tomorrow because it's basically my bedtime. But we'll get that up going as well, and just trying to grow the show, guys. If you like it, if you come over this and you don't really care about sports, and you got a husband or a partner or whatever you want to share it with, then feel free to, guys.
Or the ladies.
Or the ladies.
Like listen to sports
if the ladies
sometimes.
like to listen to sports, feel free. We do not discriminate here on who can listen to our podcast show. We would actually probably like some ladies' opinions on their sports takes. Again, if you want to reach out to us, guys, it's Outspoken Sportscast at gmail.com. You can email us there. If not, find us on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere else, and leave us a message. We will get back to you, and would love some fan interactions. We use Buzzsprout, so if you don't have any of those other platforms and you're on Buzzsprout, find us on there as well. So, all
right, that was I just want to tell everybody thank you for listening, and try to share it, like it, rate it. It does help out, and if you guys can do that kind of thing, it will make the channel better, and ultimately any of your voices and concerns and anything that you have when it comes to the podcast, just use those abilities to get a hold of us so that we can fix something. So
definitely, if you have any personal questions as well, feel free to, if you want to get to know more about me and Jeff and our personal lives as well. But other than that, guys, God bless. Hope you have a great weekend and a great week, and take care.
Take care.